So welcome to Northern Powerhouses, our business success stories series of interviews, where we discuss with local business leaders their backgrounds, their successes and challenges, and what's really driving them forwards. And this afternoon, I'm delighted to have with us Craig Looker, who's Group Director at INNOVEX Group. So Craig, firstly, thanks for spending a bit of time with us. And if you'd like to introduce yourself and INNOVEX Group and what you do and how you help people, that would be wonderful.
No problem at all, Chris. Thanks for having me on. So obviously, Craig Looker, Group Director of INNOVEX Group. So I started out my career as an apprentice electrician. I'm an electrician by trade. Moved into obviously from a project management role about 8 to 10 years ago. Ended up working. I've worked predominantly across the retail industry, delivering retail projects, all commercial. We've never really dealt with domestic.
Yep.
Ended up working for a fantastic team a few years back. We've all stayed very good friends, and the decision was made. The start of this year that we were going to basically give it a go for ourselves. So INNOVEX Enterprise Limited, as we registered as, was actually founded in 2020 by myself, but it was just as a vehicle for myself to work as a freelance project manager.
Yep.
On a consultancy agreement. So although we've been trading technically for 3 years, the business has transformed quite considerably over the past 9-12 months. So I started laying the groundwork last year. With the concept, the business model, what we were going to do differently, what the route to market was going to be, and then we've executed it in 2023. So we've actually it was a nice milestone was achieved. So within the last 12 months as a calendar month, our financial year actually runs from July to August, but in the previous 12 months we've just topped £1.1 million worth of turnover.
Wow!
So what's technically our first 9 months of trading. It's quite an incredible achievement.
Wow.
So really proud of the team on that. So
absolutely. Well done.
Yeah, no. So the services we offer as a group, mainly it's commercial interiors, ultimately, fit out interiors. So We're working across the education, healthcare, retail, hospitality sectors predominantly.
Yep.
We've done a lot of work in schools over the summer holidays, as you can imagine.
Yep.
And what we wanted to do was, obviously, myself and my co-director, my business partner, Paul, who's joined the business about a month ago. He was previously my boss a few years ago. We discussed the single points of failure that are the common anomalies we've found and the challenges during our time in the industry.
Yep.
Staff retention in construction industry is abysmal for most companies, not all companies, and subcontractor reliability, which obviously affects our ability to deliver a high quality product and obviously offer that level of service to our clients.
Yep.
And you find, like in most businesses, quite a lot of greed. Often there's a lot of penny pinching goes on. There's a lot of screwing subcontractors and the lads and employees. We never felt that we were fairly treated at some of our previous employers. So what we wanted to do, I'm a massive left-wing socialist at heart. So in that essence, we wanted to build more of a republic where people's opinions are valued.
Brilliant.
Currently going through the legalities and putting something in place for employee share schemes, basically.
Brilliant.
Everyone ownership ultimately, it should obviously help improve the retention and the accountability.
Yep.
Which will ultimately improve performance. And just paying people a fair wage. Everyone's aware of the cost of living crisis at the minute. Money's tight, so if we can make this business a success and look after those people who support us on that journey, then there's nothing more rewarding, than
brilliant.
Basically. So what sort of sets us apart to a lot of our competitors is we've got long-standing relationships with a lot of our supply chain. The main services we offer are joinery, shop fitting, electrical, plumbing, decoration,
Right.
floor laying. You know, we don't do any superstructure construction. It's all mainly interior finishes. We do some external works when required. I mean, we'll do anything if we're asked. But you know, they're the key services that
Brilliant.
so we wanted to. So as again, the business, there was no startup investment. It's just, you know, from funds that we'd pulled together, and it's sort of cash flow, that level of growth as another mechanism, and to improve on that subcontract reliability, and again just to build our network and to solidify the group. We approached our who were previously our subcontractors, some of them, and offered them partnership agreements. So we set up a range of subsidiaries. So we've got our own electrical contracting company now.
Right.
Electrical lighting, INNOVEX shop fitting and joinery, INNOVEX site services. We've got INNOVEX washroom specialists. So INNOVEX Enterprise Limited sort of sits as a holding company. We've got numerous the industry standard accreditations, the insurances, and what's beautiful about it is it's sort of everyone sort of feeds into the group, you know, ideas. It's allowed, as I said, so we've gone from obviously me, myself, and I in December of 2022 to now we've got 4 PAYE staff, we've got 3 sort of full-time consultants, any one time between 15 to 23 self-employed subcontractors, tradespeople. Right. So it's been quite a year so far.
That's amazing growth. I mean, that really is pretty cool. Well done. I mean, that's a hell of a way to go. So really well done. So growing up, is this what you foresaw yourself doing, or did you have other plans and dreams at that point?
I've always been very driven. I've always worked very hard. Firm believer that you know, hard work can conquer all, and it can also make up for any lack of skills and experience as well. You know, don't know everything, nobody knows everything, and I've always been a bit of a quick learner. But I've always wanted to. Not necessarily. I didn't necessarily see myself as a business owner. So this is actually my 3rd business I've had in the past 10 years. So I actually got bored of being an electrician when I was about 24, and I helped set up a car garage and a tyre shop with my mate. So I set the business up and managed the sales and marketing and you know, the back infrastructure and things like that. And then I got bored of changing tyres after about a year. There was a ceiling, you know. We were never going to be the next quick fix. So I exited that business on good terms, and that business is still running today, and he makes a good living out of it, which is still nice to see. So that was my first taste of being a business. And then obviously being an electrician, I ended up, I set up my own electrical contracting firm. I think it was about 26 at the time, 25, 26, which was great. So rapid growth went from me on my own, a little bag of tools and a van. I think I had 9 guys working for me, and a £7,000 a week wage bill within 9 months. We landed a £250,000 nightclub refurbishment in the city centre of Manchester, which was fantastic. We had quite a few. We were doing a lot in that hospitality nighttime industry sector. Unfortunately, I got stung for non-payment from a client. We didn't have the capital reserves to stay in the business. I didn't liquidate the company. We just managed to call it a day organically. But it was there was a lot of very important lessons during that time. I think I was only trading about 2 years, which give me a real taste for it. And certainly the lessons learned during that time we have carried forward into INNOVEX. And I went into project management. I decided I was quite good at I didn't want to be on the tools anymore ultimately. So the only way to do it, I thought I'll go play around with other people's money for a bit. Learn the trade a bit better, which it did. So I had a few various positions, worked in some maintenance, facilities management, sort of servicing. Not always for blue chip retailers ultimately. Massive LED rollouts nationwide.
Right.
Which is when I came across Paul, the team I'm working with now. When I set this up, I reached out to them. I knew most of them weren't happy where they were. Reached out to them in January, and and one by one, we've managed to secure a fantastic delivery team, really well respected. Managers within the industry with a good reputation, and we've also managed to entice some fresh blood to the group as well. So really good.
Wonderful. So I mean, obviously, very very significant, very rapid growth, which is wonderful. What are some of the biggest issues that you've had to overcome?
So we've had biggest issues. I think so. Year one for any business. So we were treating this as year one because this in the format in which we are, and I think year one's goal is always to survive.
Yeah.
I think the biggest issues we face, being ambitious and driven, is sometimes actually to putting the reins on that growth, not being too ambitious. I think business, as in life, it's all just about a balancing act, isn't it?
Yeah. Everything's
just about that balancing act. So growth is fantastic, but if we grow too quick, too soon, it'll be our undoing. If we're not growing at all, then we're not going in the right direction. So, and I think the main challenge is just holding the nerve. I'm not a quitter, but there's been quite a few times at the start of the year. I'd reached out to various clients, people we've had relationships in the industry, said, yeah, no, sounds fantastic. We like working with you. Definitely got some work for you, not a problem. The phone didn't really ring much in the first couple of months. I had some projects lined up which ended up getting cancelled. So got the team over, and we had very little work on January, February, and I think but which then obviously following that it's just gone from strength to strength. Really? And I think holding one's nerve and not growing too fast too soon. They're the two.
To find balance, isn't it? In many ways, between the two.
It's just that balancing act, realistically, and always being positive.
Yeah, it helps. I mean, one of my favourite quotes is Henry Ford. Whether you think you can or think you can't, you're right, and it sort of gets. It's like how I always think, how can you really achieve a positive outcome with a negative thought? It sort of doesn't work.
You can't. I mean, it's. We've had bad months, but then one good day, one good phone call. That's all you need. I mean, we believe in what we're doing. We believe in the concept. We believe in the business.
Yep.
It's very easy, I think, to focus on the negatives, but you just got to look back. You were the month before, the week before, the year before, and it's constantly evolving. It's constantly changing. One of our challenges. So we don't. Our route to market is quite unique. So we've got a brilliant partnership with a nationwide supplier of washroom systems, which is and because we've installed their product for the past 10 years, they very kindly give us a approved status. So we were getting inquiries driven through.
Oh, brilliant!
Which has then opened us up to pretty much every principal contractor in the country. Almost, we're on supply chains that you could take 5-10 years to use to get them knocking at the door, and you wouldn't get a sniff. So it's been fantastic for generating new relationships and new opportunities. Well, one of the things we obviously had to do at the start was put a lot of time and investment into the industry standards of accreditations. We've got CHAS Elite, Construction Line Gold, Safe Contracts. We've gone through the EcoVadis sustainability rating. And then start a business from scratch. Literally, it's like when you want to write a letter to someone in New York, and you got a blank page. I imagine it's what an author feels like when they start writing a book. You've got all these ideas in your head, and we've all been saying, "Yeah, we can do this better," and then we can do this better, we can do this better. But then you get there, and you open the laptop, and you are starting from scratch. It's like, right, where do we start? But as I say, our processes, our procedures, it's just a constantly evolving process. It's great getting input from the team as well. Everyone's got some really good ideas. We've got a whole wealth of experience. We've got over 100 years combined construction industry experience with the senior management team.
Brilliant.
I'm the youngest.
Wow, brilliant.
I just sit there and listen and go, yeah, that's really good, and make notes. Yeah, do that.
And what would you say is your biggest learnings about business and growing businesses in general, Craig?
Without sounding cynical, careful. Trust with you know, I was. I'm a big believer in your network being your net worth. That cliche saying, hear it quite touted out a lot, you know,
Yes.
and it's true. It is true. But yeah, just be careful where you place your trust. We've actually been we have taken a financial hit already this year within the first 9 months. The construction industry is obviously notorious for non-payment, late payment. Specifically, you know, this year at the minute with the cost of living crisis, the energy crisis, there's been some big names fold.
Yeah.
And you see it all the time. It's really upsetting, and I suppose, just trust is brilliant, but just be careful where it's placed, I think. And that's, as a business owner, you know, it's very different. It's different when you know that you've other people's mortgages and the food on their tables, depending on you. You know, one bad decision could be the end of all that hard work. So I think to anyone new starting out, you've got to put your trust in people, but just be careful where you put it.
Yeah. I like the phrase. I've heard it in management, but I think it's relevant to what you just said as well. Is trust but verify. So you trust people, but you just do some checks as well. That's okay. That's just common sense, isn't it?
Trust is great. Legally binding contracts is better.
Yep, I'll go with that one. Definitely. And I think you're aware we're a business coaching organisation. I'm just keen to know who the best coaches you've worked with, whether that's business, sport, or just life in general.
So I had a fantastic PE teacher. I played every sport going to PE. He was brilliant.
Brilliant.
Mr. Ishwood, he was called. He used to be a coach in the England rugby team. But I think, to be honest, I've got there's people I look up to, certainly in the Leeds business community. I was fortunate enough to be introduced to some successful business owners, not necessarily in construction. There's some guys in recruitment, and guys who own one of the biggest container yards. And I see these people more as mentors, you know.
Yeah.
And actually, I wouldn't say coaching, but there's certainly people who have inspired me.
Yeah.
And you know, I always take an active interest and try to use them as inspiration to.
Brilliant.
And,
it's really useful to work, to speak to people that are, you know, a mentor for me is someone that's sort of been where we want to go. They're like 10 years ahead or something, and you can learn from their experiences.
Yeah, definitely.
Mainly what not to do rather than necessarily what to do. But
it's always very interesting because when you meet these people, you know, successful people, it's kind of like celebrities, or famous sports stars and athletes, and you think you've always been successful. You've all, you know, and it's not till you actually speak to them and you hear about the rejections and the failures and the trials and tribulations. And you think, no, you are human.
Absolutely,
you are human, and and it makes it far more relatable, and it also just gives you that the reassurance that, you know, everyone. Because you know, we all have bad days, and you know, things don't always go to plan, or never go to plan. It's good just to think, no, keep going.
Absolutely, keep on keeping on. And have you picked up any favourite quotes or sayings you find yourself using a lot?
No, I hate those words. I try not to. So, you know, I'm not into that. I mean, I'm not. One thing that I find difficult is I came off social media about 5 years ago. I think it's fantastic for business, depending on what business you're in, you know, specifically. But yeah, so social media management is something I'm currently in conversation about outsourcing, because that's
right.
But the only thing I do personally have it is LinkedIn, and I just cringe at some of these. I like the inspirational quote and things like that.
Yeah, I pick up. I picked up quite a few actually from asking people because I just love just picking up different quotes. There's two or three that I love. I remember the guy that told me this. It was well over a year ago, and I just love the simplicity of it. He says, never look backwards because we're not going in that direction.
Yeah,
and yeah, but yeah, there's been
100%. It's very easy to sometimes to focus on the negatives, and you've obviously, if something has gone wrong, you've got to analyse why it went wrong, put the proper measures in place to prevent it from happening again. But yeah, always look forward.
Yeah, it's interesting. We do a lot of work with a guy called Frank Dick, who's a very experienced, well-known athletics coach. Operate with Great Britain team for many years. And one thing he said that a little while ago that I picked up on, and he said literally that, obviously we typically sensibly analyze failures so that we avoid them next time. Yes. But he also said if we don't analyze our success and therefore we don't know why we've won, then it's luck. Yeah. And an interesting point is it's as important to analyze what went right as what went wrong.
Yeah,
if that makes sense. And what would you say, Craig, you've learned about yourself throughout this journey so far?
Ask me again in 12 months. I don't really know. I couldn't tell you. I've not thought. That's one thing I've not really thought about. I haven't had time to think about that yet. You'd probably be better off asking my colleagues.
Well, yeah. Well, look, I'll tell you what we'd be good to do. Anyways, maybe swing by in another 6-12 months and see where you are then, and I'll ask you the same question, and we see where we go. So looking forwards a little, what does the future? I mean, obviously you've had very rapid growth so far, but what does the future look like for you guys, and what do you see as the main challenges as you move forwards, if any?
So we've got target growth areas. There's other subsidiaries and other avenues we want, other services ultimately we want to offer in-house. So that's going to we've got a sort of a bit of a roadmap over the next few years.
Great.
Some clients want to target. We are looking at quite considerable growth over the next few years. That's what we are aiming for. We're looking at sustaining sort of current levels, obviously.
Brilliant.
The main thing is not jeopardizing on the core business values, not making sure that the reason why we started INNOVEX up continues in terms of employee well-being, staff retention, and giving everyone a better quality life than they've had previously.
Brilliant.
That's what we're doing it for. So yeah, it's very easy. Again, it can be easy to get wrapped up in the here and now. We've fallen victim to it, and you think, hold on a minute, let's just go back to basics. Why do we do this? And are we still committed to those values? Or we, just keeping on that roadmap. So ultimately, that is why we've done it.
Brilliant. And what would you say to anyone that's thinking of going into business right now, Craig?
Do it. There'll never be a perfect time.
Yeah.
Make sure you've got a damn good business plan.
Yep.
Yeah. Don't do it on do your market research, do your competitor analysis. Make sure that make sure you've got a decent product or a decent service.
Yeah.
And if it's viable, go for it, because it's like having kids. There's never going to be a good time to do it. There's always going to be a reason to. Yeah. I can say that as a father as well.
Absolutely.
Always find reasons not to do something.
Yeah.
So do it. So it's brilliant. Even the worst days I've ever had within the INNOVEX group, that freedom and being in control of being the creator of your own destiny. For me personally, that's what inspires me. And I think I'm completely unemployable now as well. So I'm gonna have to make this work.
It's a feature of most entrepreneurs I've met that they are just unemployable, so there's nowhere else to go. So
that's it.
And although it's been obviously quite a short period, but is there anything, if you started again, is there anything significant that you might do differently?
Everything. No. No. Yeah, definitely is. Definitely is. Yeah, but nothing major. I think ultimately, the our business model it has been warmly received by our clients. Our
Yes.
principles, our values, our mission statement, everything. The core is right. The core is solid. It's
Yep.
just the little bits around the edges. I think you'd always do things differently with the benefit of hindsight, wouldn't you?
Yeah, it's a funny. I mean, it is an interesting question because I often say to people, a lot of people often say that, no, they wouldn't because it's got them exactly where they are, if you know what I mean, and therefore even the bad stuff or the and you highlight this earlier, even the mistakes, the failures, if we learn from them, are actually valuable things to go through. So it is a difficult one. It's interesting. Occasionally, a few people. I mean, the one I think I've heard most commonly, funnily enough, is go faster, which probably in your case isn't necessary. But
yeah, I mean, I think we didn't just try to set one company up; we tried to set in 6 simultaneously. If anything, I think we'd go slower.
Brilliant.
I might have a bit more hair left on me, but yeah, no, yeah. I mean, as I said at the first, we took such a massive leap of faith. We did have ultimately inquiries are fantastic and conversations are brilliant. But until in our game, until you've got an order, a purchase order, or boots on the ground on a project, it's not worth diddly squat. But there's not. It depends whether if with the benefit of hindsight, yes, of course you do things differently. If you didn't have the benefit of hindsight, no, I'd go out 100%, 100 mile an hour and head first.
Brilliant.
Everything pretty much.
Brilliant. And finally, what advice would you give an 18-year-old you if you're able to go back in time and do it?
I wouldn't like to discuss that on this interview. Yeah, I'll leave that one there.
We'll leave that one there. Well, Craig, thank you so much for your time today. It's been really fascinating, and congratulations on the growth you've already had. And clearly, to be able to do that, you've got to have a good foundation. So really well done. And for anyone that is watching right now that would like to contact you or the company, what's the best way to do that?
There's through the website, innovex-group.co.uk. You'll be able to contact us through there.
Wonderful. As I said a little earlier, it'd be great to come back in 6-12 months and just see what the next stage of growth looks like for you.
Yeah, definitely. We'd really enjoy that. Thank you.
Brilliant. Well, thanks so much again.
No, not from all. Thanks, Chris.
Cheers.